This is Henry H. Wags Wagner.
This is Adam.
And this is Zachariah Zachatat Swope. And this is
GeekTalk.
So, what about that Doctor Who trailer?
Woo!
Yes. Yes.
I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I think I could account for maybe at least 150,000 of the views on YouTube.
Yeah. You're glowing so much, I think you're going to regenerate.
Let's see. I'm watching Doctor Who right now I've never really watched it, so I'm in the second series, to be more technically correct. I'm actually almost done. So, but after watching that trailer, I was like, my God, this looks awesome.
Trailer's awesome.
It's probably one of my favorite trailers I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I have to freak that too. Just for a trailer in general, it was a pretty good.
I'm so excited. I can't explain it. It's just...
I love how seamlessly it goes through different ages of the Doctor. If you haven't seen it, go and look at it. Even if you're not a big Doctor Who fan, this is a trailer you want to see. How they play around with, videos and animations of the original Doctor in the 1960s, and it all looks so seamless, and it's so the music's awesome, and the cool Easter eggs, the cool little Easter eggs you find everywhere too are really the jelly
cool.
Babies.
Oh yeah, they go back to World War One, and then how they have the beginning with World War One. The guy in the helmet, they have that soldier standing on the corner.
No, that was a policeman.
That was?
Yeah.
See,
that was his boss.
Yeah. See.
Anyway. So last week we talked a little bit. Was it last week?
It was.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Doctor Who, and I remember me and Henry were talking about our issues with the Moffat episodes.
Yes.
And I think I figured it out. I was watching a lot of episodes this week, and I think I really figured it out. The problem with Moffat's episodes, even though it's interesting sometimes, is he pays too much attention. The stories are usually about the Doctor. They're not about the time period he's in. They're not about the companions he meets or other people around him. Moffat's stories are always centered on the Doctor. While that's important every now and then, the whole show has now become focused on the Doctor, which was never the point, really.
Yeah. In fact, I think near the end of the Tenet series, that's plural, you did see that shift into the Doctor-oriented episodes, and that's what made it so good.
Right.
However, I think we've just seen that from all this Moffat stuff, over and over and over again. And now I think about it, you're totally right. All these series are about the Doctor dying, and then the TARDIS exploding, and all these stories are very, very close to the Doctor, and not about the world around him, And that's a little frustrating, I think. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly.
Maybe my mind might be changed if they make it pay off in the 50th anniversary, meaning they say all of that led to this.
Yeah.
And now we're going to change it back to what it was, where it's more about exploration and kind of getting trapped in situations, and then you find, maybe here and there in an episode, you find out a little more about the Doctor. And it's sort of like a little mystery you're unraveling each time, piecing together.
Well, I mean, I don't watch the show. I mean, I'm not really that familiar.
Started, though.
I mean, I started though, so kudos to me. But just from what you guys talking about, the dialogue in the trailer, he's this is a moment he's been running away from his whole life.
This isn't the first time he's done that. I'm
true,
but
still, I mean, it seems what you're suggesting. I think it seems to be culminating to that kind of moment.
And Moffat has talked about that. He said after the 50th, the show's going to hit a transition. He said it's going to shift. And I'm a little worried. I'm a little skeptical. But I think that it's going to... I'm just a little optimistic with Capaldi there. There's going to be a new show. I think there's going to be a new showrunner. We'll double check another day. but I think it's going to be. It might turn out really well. I think.
Yeah, I can't really. A lot of people are doom and gloom after this special, but I'm very optimistic. I'm curious to see where they go next. I'm glad they're changing it up because even if I'm not the biggest fan of this current format with Moffat and Matt Smith as the Doctor and everything that's going on, I still like it quite a bit. I still think it's a great piece of television, very entertaining. Not as good as perhaps it was near the end of the Tenet series, but good nonetheless. I'm just excited to see more than one Doctors in an episode because I've been waiting for that since 2005.
Yeah. Well, if you watch the older ones, though, the older anniversaries have the multiple Doctors too, so it's kind of a cool thing that they're doing this again, and I appreciate it as a fan.
See, I just jumped right into the Eccleston series, like the reboot from 2005. So I'm not familiar with anything before that either. So
see, I jumped into that too.
Me too.
But they do have the classic episodes available too.
Yeah,
if you want to jump into those, and that's
Netflix.
I kind of finished Eccleston, and while I was watching Tenet, I would jump back to the beginning, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Looking back and kind of fun.
I might do that once I catch up on the current series, but after that, I might do it. But like right now, also, I'm trying to. I know I'm going just a little off topic here. Actually, getting into Sherlock. So, I actually when we went over the notes, I was thinking as soon as we started, I'm like, shit, I forgot to bring that up.
I'm so ready
Because they
I'm so
announced
excited.
January 19th today.
Yay!
I'm sorry,
Everyone's
off
screaming.
topic people. We were supposed to be talking. It's
It's fine.
No, that's still under the Moffat thing.
He writes for it too.
Oh yeah, that's
And he does exceedingly well on that. I mean, it's weird because it's completely different to me than how he does in Who. I think he excels at Sherlock, but I think maybe he feels like he's in a box because the lore is already there and he can't build it himself.
Oh, I definitely
Yeah,
think so.
and
I mean, well, Sherlock, a lot of Sherlock lore is, written out too. If you're
Yeah,
not aware.
well, yeah.
There a book series? What?
people I know when before they started filming series 3 for Sherlock, people were speculating I can't remember for some reason I can't think of the name. It's gonna come back. Not his ultimate villain.
Moriarty?
Yeah,
Moriarty.
it's gonna come back, and they're like, no, there's no way he's coming back.
I hope
from that.
not.
Yeah, they're not. It's
Next.
pretty much saying he's not. It's gonna be a whole new threat.
Next
That's
is
right.
Lord, what's his name?
Forget. I don't know.
But he's one of the disciples of Moriarty. Supposedly that's who's next.
So I don't think they should do resurrection and kind of.
No, they
Sherlock.
shouldn't.
Sherlock is more grounded in reality.
I don't know if you guys are ready, and I want to know how he survived because I don't know about you guys. I rewatched that like 15 times. I'm like, that person walks past and they're laying on the ground, and I want to know. I have a theory.
Say it.
All right, here's the theory. Okay, remember how in the Baskervilles?
Yes.
When you breathe in that toxin that can also be used as a liquid?
Yes.
Okay, and it makes you see whatever the person giving it to you wants you to see. So remember when Watson is walking by that random bike guy that hit him? What if Sherlock beforehand, that guy that hit him, injected him with something real quick, like pinpricked him with some of that gas?
Yeah.
And so Watson saw Sherlock dead because of the gas from the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Wow, that's an interesting theory. Now, I kind of wish that it's not that, so I am completely surprised, but I really think that's a cool theory.
Now, another thing too because Moffat keeps saying we're missing something small. I noticed when I was rewatching the episodes was Irene Adler. Remember, she fakes her death at some point, and I can't remember the exact quote. If one of you guys can figure it out.
It's been so long. I watched
here.
it. I watched it like 2 years ago on Netflix, and I plan on rewatching. It seems like I'm feeling out of the loop here because I don't really remember because I've just been so busy.
I rewatched them like at least.
I mean, there's like
once
what,
a month.
there's only
You know
6
what?
episodes.
I'm
so
tapping out here, guys. I'm gonna go watch some Sherlock.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 6 episodes, so it's easy to just rewatch.
I mean, well, they're really long.
They're
like
each
an
like
hour
a
and a half.
movie, which
Yeah,
is
they're
awesome.
like an hour and a half long each.
I think I like that more than the way we do seasons.
And,
Well,
and they're
seasons here, I like the way they do series
they're
there.
doing that same format for
Yeah.
series 3
That's not
Sherlock.
entirely indicative of all British television.
No, but I like that format a lot. It makes
Yeah.
me feel like I'm watching a movie. It's continuous. It doesn't feel like it's cliffhanging for advertisements.
Because just imagine if they did it in like episodes, like we were talking about how Walking Dead is binge watching. Well, just think of if they had to do it like if they were doing it like episodic each week instead of just like an hour and a half and 3 different episodes.
Well, it's so concise too. It's like
Yeah.
you have it in an hour and a half. You know, there's time between the Sherlock episodes, and everything that you've missed is understood, and it's all beautifully done, and you don't feel like you're ever watching filler because, you know, for that hour and a half, you're sold. You're gone for it. They put a lot of work and effort into it.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I just thought of? Remember how last week we were talking about how Moffat has really convoluted. He has really great writing abilities, but sometimes his plots can be a little convoluted.
Yes.
That's why he's so good at writing in Sherlock. I just hit me right now because they have to be convoluted plots because that's the way Sherlock plots are.
Yeah.
He can do that very, very well.
And plus, there was a recent interview saying, I mean, with the whole Doctor Who and then trying to fit in Sherlock, there's so many. They all have their own schedules, and these schedules are so hectic. I mean, Cumberbatch had to go between Hobbit, Sherlock, and the Star Trek, and Martin Freeman. Yeah, Martin Freeman. He had to go between the Hobbit and Sherlock, and then Moffat has to go between Doctor Who and Sherlock. So,
no, I will say this much. I mean, I think it's a little bit, you know, simpler for. I mean, actors do have a entirely grueling schedule, but. I have a feeling to be the writer for both Sherlock and Doctor Who, like that's so much pressure. You got 2 hit television series, goal, and you know it's god awful stressful.
Yeah.
And I won't say like I won't demean Martin Freeman or Benedict Cumberbatch at all for doing stuff, but like come on, like. Writing shows is
because Sherlock,
bloody impossible.
Yeah, Sherlock Series 3 almost didn't even happen because the schedules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why these Doctor Who series have been so weirdly sporadic also. I mean, that's a little bit like British television. That's why they're series and not seasons because they can come back at any time. And I mean, and we're kind of moving to that format also. However, you know, there was a lot of talk like, when is he going to do this? When is he going to do this? And he's like, no, I can't do that. I'm writing Sherlock. And right now he's like, I just finished Doctor Who. You know, I got to get this done. It's like, geez, a lot of pressure on that guy.
I mean, you ever think he gets it mixed up? Like he accidentally writes a Sherlock episode like Doctor Who, and then he has to deal with that for the rest of the week and try and figure it out.
Yeah. So.
Although one thing, real quick, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, no, don't. Go ahead.
I would love to hear for pick of the week when Zach here gets further along in the series. Favorite Doctor Who episode.
Oh, that'd be great.
So far,
so now, like in a few weeks when you get caught up, we'll
I mean, so
talk
far
about
from what
this.
I've seen, I mean, I'm almost done with series 2. Like I have like 3 more episodes.
Yeah, but there's like
series 3 is where it excels.
Yeah.
It really is like it
so
takes off to a whole level.
That's what I hear. I just got through the episode with the Ood and the black hole last night.
Oods get so cool.
I got that
love
last
the Ood.
night. I finished the guy that can you can blend, like he touches you and you become part of him or something. I don't know his
I
name.
don't remember.
He's trying to. I don't know.
There's so many good episodes.
I just love
It was really bizarre.
I have 2 specifically that I have in mind. I'm saving for when we talk about it because I want you to have your opinion, but
Yeah.
so I already have mine.
I'd have to think about it a lot, but like there's a whole bunch like going up in my mind.
Speaking about, Doctor Who and the universe, I guess. What about our pick of the week? We have Avatar. Just was announced that Sigourney. I mean, this has been known for a while. Sigourney Weaver's going to be back for the sequel, but just the other day, that Stephen Lang, the guy who played the Colonel in Avatar, aka the villain, is going to be back for Avatar 2, 3, and 4.
Guys, let me just say this real quic.
He's a great actor, but he just.
My eye's literally twitching right now.
I could see it, and then I hear
My ventilated breathing. I think
you go first, Henry.
let's talk about Avatar before we get to our pick of the week, which is slightly related.
Yes.
Of course. Avatar is kind of an unfortunate thing that happened. And what I love about Avatar is how, and I got a real life example of this, is how for like a month after Avatar was like Star Wars. Like, it was franchised out of the butt. I'm not going to say ass. Oh, wait, there I did. And, people were coloring. They were having Avatar parties. Like, people, were like changing the profile pictures to Avatar me, and I was like, this is awful. And then everyone started to realize that Avatar was not that good of a film, and it all turned around. But the people making the products were like, oh yeah, okay. So they kept making Avatar this, Avatar that, Avatar. And I was at Party City getting my costume together, and they had like 3 Avatar costumes. I just had to laugh because the blue guy, and he's like,
and Disney just announced Avatar Land. They're adding to their parks. They're adding Avatar Land.
Burn it to the ground.
I know. It's actually going to be part of the Animal Kingdom, a section of the Animal Kingdom, Avatar Land.
Well, no one ever goes there anyway.
Animal Kingdom was one of my favorite parks.
Oh yes, giant blue puppy dog people. What we need in the Animal Kingdom. All right, I want to hear from Adam, because I didn't talk about everything I disliked and liked about the film, but I want to hear. I don't want to hear my voice anymore for a little bit.
Well, let me start by saying this. I don't mind movies having a message. In fact, I love it when movies have a message. I love symbolism. I like deeper movies. I'm not a big action movie guy where it's just big. But I think that when you repeatedly punch someone in the face with a message, and it's so blatant what your message is, I mean, that to me is what Avatar was. It was just military-industrial complex, or the military, or the Westerners versus the natives. It was very clearly, which, yes, an important message that we do need to discuss. It needs to be in our dialogue, national dialogue. Not going to get too deep into this. But I think that it's one thing to do it subtly and beautifully and right.
Like
and it's
Blomkamp, I mean, he does his political messages so subtle, like in District 9 and Elysium.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of people will disagree with that statement and say he will beat you over the head with it also.
Well, and at times, but he's not so in your face like James Cameron. I mean,
you know what it is? I think I
think it's a repetition thing, in my opinion. Avatar is a repeated thing. Blomkamp is I believe, just as heavy-handed in his political messages, but he puts you there and then he doesn't poke you with it.
And I think the thing with the poking is I perceive it, at least, and you guys might feel differently, as directorial arrogance. Yeah. It's just I just feel like it's a really arrogant movie, and that bothers me. And it is. It's like it is. Oh, yeah. That's a perfect thing to say for it. It is the Lucas effect.
We like to coin a lot of terms here.
Yeah, and when it comes to me and Avatar, I thought the effects were amazing. You can't deny they are amazing, and the technology he's brought to the film industry and 3D.
Yeah,
I mean, he's totally revolutionized everything. But when it comes to the story itself, even some of the acting, there was like 1 or 2 actors in that movie that were pretty good. I thought the guy that played the villain was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, he was really.
But when it came to Sam Worthington, him and his acting, his Australian accent it was like he's flipping in between an American accent to an Australian accent in the middle of the movie. I mean, if you hear him do the voiceover, the voice work in Black Ops, it's like, where are they? Kind of thing. And I'm thinking, I just don't think he's.
They've tried to market Sam Worthington so hard.
I know.
And I feel bad for him because I don't think he's terrible. It's just like...
Wrong movie.
He's just always done the wrong... Like, eventually, maybe he'll get big. But he's just like... He's never... I can't name a thing where I'm like, Sam Worthington was a great part of that film. It's either just like, oh yeah, and then there was Sam Worthington, or he was bad in that.
I think one of his only good movies, I think, so far, that actually has potential was Man on a Ledge.
Oh yeah.
I didn't. My mother told me it was. It was a good movie, and he did very well compared to his other movies. But that's coming off topic for another time.
Anyway.
But people ask me what is my favorite thing about Avatar, and I make this joke, and some of you might get it, but I think chances are you will. Unlike most, I would be like, my favorite thing about that movie is the scene where they sing "Colors of the Wind." Do any of you get that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Pocahontas on an alien world.
Slash, but everyone always says Pocahontas, but I'm really serious. Slash Dances with Wolves.
Oh no!
Definitely Dances with Wolves.
Backslash Fern Gully.
Fern Gully. That was good.
I also did it in a command code like I was programming. Backslash as Fern Gully. Fern Gully initiated.
Yeah, I mean, even James Cameron and Landau, the guy who helped produce
Lando.
it. There was a guy. I don't know his first name, but Landau is his last name. They even came forward was like Fern Gully. We took inspiration from. You took inspiration from it. I think you just totally took the story.
Yeah.
But
I want to agree with you. I don't really regret going to see Avatar merely because Avatar was the only movie I've ever seen in theaters that I will say, and this is probably because it was my first one, I will say that I felt like I was immersed in a 3D. I have not been sold on 3D in any other film.
Oh,
I think
mean,
it was
and
pretty
it's
much.
not- and I think
at that time, up to that point.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing I want to say about it. I don't think the 3D in it was well, it may have been groundbreaking, but it wasn't like unlike things that we see today that they're still making 3D movies on. It's just I think it's the first time I saw it and I was like, wow, this is so cool. A 3D movie. This is back to the 50s. But I mean, and then every other film I see in 3D, I'm just like, I just want to see it in 2D.
And plus,
I don't.
sorry.
I feel like yeah, the effects are good. The art design in the film was pretty solid. The art design as far as the landscape and beasts. The art design as far as anything else is just muddled to no. I mean, the dialogue is bad. You know, the juxtaposition of characters and people in the shots is just bad. Like it doesn't. It feels bad all over, and that's how I honestly feel about the movie. And the fact they're making more of them is just beyond wrong.
The only reason they're doing it is because it made over $1 billion in less than a week, and the fact that it's now the highest grossing film of all time, not including inflation, of course.
Yeah.
But
Well,
and
I think
when we sorry, real quick.
Okay.
And when we let's not forget about the 3-month later re-release that they did, or 6-month
for
later.
10 additional minutes out of it.
And it kicked box office records again.
Yeah,
it was just like
really? Because, I mean, then again, there was a bunch of people that weren't able to see it in IMAX. They were able to see it that time. But now, this leads into our pick of the week. Let me clarify. I mean, the whole Avatar. Why are you two winking at each other?
I don't know.
we're playing footsies.
We are.
Okay.
You want to join?
No, I don't. But this comes into the whole thing about alien worlds and stuff like that and Avatar. It brings us into our pick of the week. And I want to clarify, this isn't about the franchise itself. I'm talking about, where it involves aliens, not the franchise. So what's your favorite movie with an alien in it? Independence Day. Not saying Independence Day. But we'll start with Henry here.
Okay, I'm just gonna troll real hard and say Plan 9 from Outer Space. No, but interestingly enough, I was doing some thought about this, and there's a lot of movies that have aliens in them, and a lot of good films cross my mind. The Blomkamp films, film. The one doesn't have aliens. I mean, District 9 did cross my mind as a well-made film. But I'm thinking about what established this genre. What made you take alien movies seriously? And thus, what makes a good alien film? And given that criteria, I'm going to have to say The Day the Earth Stood Still. An interesting choice. If you've never seen the film, it is surprisingly well
You're not
made.
talking about the one with Keanu Reeves.
No, not the remake. Not the remake. I'm talking about the original. I think it was 1954. Could be wrong about that.
56,
It's a solidly written film. It brings up a lot of the issues that come in, you deal with First Contact. It has a good story. It establishes so many cultural. I mean, you've seen Evil Dead 3 where it has the little code word to do the book,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's the same code word they give to the robot in The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just feel like that film, for me, watching it was a worthwhile, great experience. And because it is so important to this alien genre, and in a time when there were so many B movies, that film stands out as, I think, a good film to this day. I'm going to have to give it my pick of the week.
Adam?
Well, shit. I was going to say, and really, it's I would say this. It's my favorite modern day one.
Okay, yeah.
Or postmodern, I think we're in now. District 9. Would probably be my favorite sort of postmodern. And I know we were talking about hammering over the head with messages, but I felt like this was done.
I agree.
I felt like this was really done beautifully. It did the whole. It just. It hit on that social message I think that needed to be done, because that's really what a lot of alien movies are about. Not all of them, but a lot of them. It's about the aliens in our society itself, and I think it plays that wonderfully. I think it builds this world around you that's very rich, and like you guys have talked about Elysium, it looks used, it looks worn, it looks real. You can taste the dirt of the camp that they're in.
Oh yeah,
but Henry just screwed me up because I'd have to say, I mean, like, if you could see my fingers, guys, they're like literally like almost touching, like just like an atom apart at this point.
An atom apart.
Yeah.
But literally an atom apart. That's how close it is.
Pun intended.
Day the Earth stood still.
Oh, it feels good.
But District 9 for me is still first, but it's so close for me. I have to say that.
I agree with Adam here. District 9, I felt it also changed how we perceive an alien film. I mean, it's something we haven't even seen before with how it was done, and that's what it made it so unique. And I would have to agree. I agree with him that it's for the more recent movie. I think District 9 would have been a good pick, but and in the end, I'm gonna have to go with War of the Worlds, the original War of the Worlds.
Oh.
Here's the thing. I remember I was in a film class, and I was in film school actually, and at one point, and we actually listened to the original Orson Welles. I took a class where we listened to the original Orson Welles recording, and people went totally insane just of that. Even people even actually killed themselves over it.
Right.
And I'm thinking the movie did the same kind of exact thing. I mean, it set a standard, I think, for movies of that genre at the time. And I think without War of the Worlds, we wouldn't have The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
I mean, they came out before Day the Earth Stood Still.
I don't think the film did, but the book certainly did.
Oh yeah.
The book. I mean, you can't have The Day the Earth Stood Still without the book War of the World. But I do believe that the film came out after, like the film that most people know came out after.
And
I'm not talking about the Tom Cruise one here, people.
No. At no point will we be talking about remakes ever.
Yeah.
And just a really interesting observation that I think is interesting about this whole thing is, and not to exclude Zach, because you did say District 9. But the interesting thing about Henry's pick of The Day the Earth Stood Still and District 9, which we all love,
Oh, yeah.
is that they're alien movies, but when you really think about it, they're the alien movies that we all kind of agree we love, are the ones that turn it on its head.
Absolutely.
Where we're the hostile force, and they're the peaceful people coming down.
Yeah.
We're the ones who overreact. And I know you like War of the Worlds, and I think that's a fantastic movie too, but it's interesting that the one that we all share is the one that's flipped over, and it sort of holds a mirror to us.
Oh yeah, I think just let me say one thing, and you can speak, Henry. I think your both pick of the week. I think that it's a good choice, and it did revolutionize how we picture those kind of films. So I don't know. I feel weird that I'm not choosing one that really. It didn't really revolutionize that genre, but it revolutionized a whole other genre. Now, Henry.
Okay, I really wanted to piggyback off Adam because that's what makes good science fiction fundamentally. That's what sets science fiction about from just action with science in it or science fantasy. Is science fiction and I'm a big science fiction movie. As a big science fiction fan. If you guys remember, I like Dick.
Yeah.
And
Philip K. Dick.
I think science fiction is one of the most important literary and entertainment genres of the 20th century because it takes what the novel's all about, which is looking at society and putting a mirror up against it, and puts it in terms that we couldn't even conceive. The best science fiction is a science fiction that you come out of the theater and you say to yourself, like, what does this mean in my life? Like, what is it? It has a big impact. That's why I'm a science fiction fan. It has nothing to do with science, and I feel like with The Day the Earth Stood Still and District 9, we're getting that. We're definitely getting that. And War of the Worlds, it's a little bit of an older piece, still a great book, but it still does have science fiction messages in it about like arms and the destructive power of warfare, and the idea that beyond anything that is created or anything that fights against us, the only thing that can conquer is nature itself. Because if you remember, even in the book is
they die from the flu,
the common flu, which it means like Mother Nature conquers all. So it does have those scientific elements in their infant form at the turn of the century, and that's why we all picked those and not Independence Day.
So we have a few more minutes left for this topic.
I have one more thing. I know it's going back just a millisecond. For a millisecond, I just want to say that's what Stephen Moffat is missing. Russell T. Davies held up the mirror, and he said, through Doctor Who's eyes, here's how he looks at us. And not only that, but he still cares about us, even when we're complete, pardon my French, but we're complete assholes. Doctor still comes along and says, hey, I'm here for you guys. The problem with the Matt Smith era right now, the Great Adventures, they're fun, they're cool. I do like the Matt Smith Doctor. I think he's awesome. But it doesn't hold up that mirror that sci-fi always has done, as Henry said.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, our picks of the week, if you missed them, were Adam picked District 9, Zach picked War of the Worlds, and I picked The Day the Earth Stood Still. And if there are remakes, we're not counting them. So, that's it. So we can move on to the next topic now.
Okay, so the whole talk of like the unknown and like the universe as a whole, that brings into Marvel, I think, pretty well, because Marvel is like a whole bunch of things, and I feel, me and Adam, we were discussing this earlier, that Marvel is really saturating the market. I mean, we didn't really think about it much when we talked about Iron Man 3, but now that when Thor 2 is coming out and the reviews and the stuff we're hearing about what they're planning for like Phase 3 and 4, actually, like they're talking about Doctor Strange today as well, and Ant-Man being a heist movie, I'm thinking they're really saturating the market, and they do have potential for some really good movies. Like Guardians of the Galaxy looks badass, but in the end, I think it's a little too much.
I think that they're saturating it. I think their problem is this: they're saturating it, but not just that. They're doing too many sequels. Iron Man, to me, maybe should have been 2 movies.
Yeah.
To me, Thor, a second movie. I don't mind that it's a second movie. Maybe I haven't seen the movie yet, so we can't say.
Yeah. We'll discuss that in a few
lot
weeks.
of them, I felt like could only be 2 movies, but this trilogy thing they keep trying to hit on doesn't work. And I think what I'd like to see more of is stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy, sort of the lesser known, the B and C list heroes that you don't hear about a lot.
That's why I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I never even heard of Guardians of the Galaxy until they announced it, and then they're doing Ant-Man, which I never really was into, but I knew the character. I just didn't really think much on it. I'm excited for that movie, and then Doctor Strange. Okay, I'm going to let Henry speak here. So
don't feel like I'm trying to impede.
Oh no, I'm not. I just want to give you.
I'm just saying that I've got something to say. I said on the first episode, and I still believe this. I am suffering complete superhero exhaustion. I feel like overall, it doesn't matter for me personally if it's Marvel or DC. I don't see it so much as black and white. I'm getting so bored of superheroes, and it's actually interesting because superheroes do bridge on science fiction, and that's kind of my complaint, is that this is not challenging me in any way. A lot of these superhero films, in any kind of like intellectual fashions, and the effect has just worn off for me watching these like big giant kicking butt action films. And that being said, and I'm going to pose this question to you guys. Wouldn't this be a great time for Watchmen to come out? Like, I know Watchmen came out a couple years ago, but I mean, like, at this point where we've seen all these superheroes, everyone knows what a superhero is now. Everyone talks about Iron Man and Batman, and it's been that way for a very long time. But at this point, if Watchmen hadn't have come out when it had and has dropped now, I think it would have resonated a lot more.
Oh yeah, I think it would have, and I think it would have been made it more of a what it is, which is almost a satire, slightly of the superhero.
It's a dark satire.
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand where they were trying to make it come out at that point back in 2009, but I think it would be more relevant now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I don't mean to distract from our Marvel. I just
I think you're completely right.
And speaking of Marvel now, Captain America teaser trailer is being released tomorrow. They released a teaser for the teaser trailer, and they released they also released a poster yesterday. And I'm excited because it's Winter Soldier, but beyond that, I'm not really. I mean, you see the helicarrier in the poster for Captain America, which I think is pretty neat, and it's also be interesting to see more of Captain America in modern day, which is really interests me a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are, Henry.
I've always gotten really jacked when it comes to the idea of Captain America fighting in like the classical time periods, like World War II and all that stuff. And I'm kind of sad that that's gone, like that he's moving on to the current day or like near future kind of idea. Because I have this comic book back home, and I have a very small collection of vintage comic books, and one of them is 1975, and Captain America like punches Hitler, and I love the frame. He's like, and Hitler's like, it's one of my favorite comic frames of all time, and I love all the connections they make to like World War II, and it really strokes my history boner. So, when I didn't even know that about Captain America for a very long time until I saw someone online had drawn this picture, and it was D-Day with Captain America, and I'm like, I feel so American. So I'm honestly very, very hesitant, like. And I didn't really like the first Avenger that much. It wasn't. I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't like it that much. It didn't do it for me.
I think Hugo Weaving was really the point of the show.
That being said, that's the stuff I want to see Captain America doing, and I feel as if it didn't fulfill me. So now that we're going on to this future thing, and I love the Winter Soldier is an enticing plot line. However, I'm not so sure. I'm very skeptical about this film.
One thing before I let Adam speak is that you talk about the whole World War II thing. Cold War, I mean, the Winter Soldier storyline is also a Cold War story. And they're bringing it into modern day. So I am very, very curious to see how they readapt that story to fit modern day, and if it's going to be still relevant. Are they going to still use that Cold War kind of story, and if it's going to be relevant?
Well, first off, he's probably going to be brainwashed by Hydra. It's not going to be the Russians anymore, obviously. But I think, I for the first Avenger, this is awful to say, I actually loved every point up until after the first chase scene with Captain America, where it became bulked up. I felt like they really did Steve Rogers really well. It showed the type of man he was. And then it led up to that, and then it showed, when he does that chasing, the chasing with him on bare feet, where he's just like running after this car and gets in the sub thing, was awesome. Every point after that, and as Henry always likes to say, to me was too much of the big dumb action movie feel. It just was too. And as for this second movie, I think what is it? Going to be PG-13,
obviously.
Which is still, that's fine, but it doesn't. Winter Soldier's an extremely, extremely, extremely dark storyline, and I don't know how, with a company like Disney at the helm, how they are going to make something that dark and be able to sell their toys and appeal to kids. And I just don't know how they're going to do it.
And I want to say something before we move on to another topic, is that I'm very excited for Winter Soldier, and I like how they're actually bringing back. It's Winter Soldier as we know it, really. I mean, it's his old friend coming back. I'm curious to see how that works out, but that would be very interesting. But with the whole Captain America, the first Avenger, I thought the first half was exactly how you described it, but the second half was more about a Red Skull story. And I loved Hugo Weaving as Red Skull. I think he was one of the best villains in the Marvel movies to date. But and then it also now brings us to Thor 2, which releases in a few weeks, and now reviews are slowly coming out that it actually sucks. And I mean, anything with not Loki in it, awful.
Well, that's the thing. We talked about this in past weeks, and this is something that watching the trailers for Thor 2 that got me kind of, tentatively excited a little bit for it was because they made a big point of like he works with Loki for a little bit, and he's like, I have to have your alliance, with Loki, and I was like, well, that's really cool because I want to see Loki's character more. I want to see more of that character development, maybe like a redemption story, regardless of what happens. But that being said, I didn't like Thor. I think Thor was, I didn't like it at all.
Better than Iron Man 2, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, Iron Man 2 was awful. But as far as I'm just laying it all out here. But as far as like these Phase 1 debuts, Iron Man 1 liked, Captain America: First Soldier leaning towards mediocre, dislike, Thor dislike.
I was surprised by Thor. I mean, I'm not a Thor fan at all.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew it was cheesy. It's Thor. I was going in thinking, this is going to be cheesy. This is going to be a little bit silly. Just roll with it. And I came out, I kind of liked it. I liked it more than I thought I did, I think. And I might have gone in with really low expectations.
He's also one of the harder Marvel characters to get out.
Yes.
I mean, he's popular, but when you want to adapt him, he's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different versions you can do of him. And then there's also, but from what I'm hearing about Thor 2 is it's kind of making me upset because I'm a big Game of Thrones guy, and the guy who directed it, Alan Taylor, I'm not sure if it's Taylor or Tyler. Well, anyways, he was a showrunner for Game of Thrones, and I was very excited about this when they first announced that he was going to direct it. I'm like, my God, yes, this is going to be an awesome Thor movie, and it's going to be like Game of Thrones. And then this first trailer came out, and I'm like, okay, I'm still going to roll with it, And then next thing I know, now these reviews are coming out, and I'm like, crap.
Now, some people have said, in all the reviews, they do say it feels like Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that maybe the bad reviews, I don't know yet because we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But maybe the bad reviews really are just coming from this Marvel fatigue that everybody's feeling, this oversaturation of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You have Guardians of the Galaxy coming, you have Thor 2, Iron Man 3 came out last year, and you're just like, take a second.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think they should take a year or two off.
Yeah.
Like with the whole Iron Man, between Iron Man and Iron Man 2, they had that year in between because they didn't have anything in between Iron Man and Iron Man 2. I think if they did something like that and not rush to push a movie out, like 2 movies out now every year after.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think there's something to be said about anticipation for like a product being released and an entertainment product. And I want to kind of like reference us previously in the episode where we're talking about Sherlock. And, we waited, like a year and a half for this new Sherlock episode or series to come out. And, like, that's really exciting. I'm really excited for that. But even with stuff I like sometimes, if I'm pummeled with it, I'm going to start to be like, no more, Dad, stop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's enough of the belt.
And I think I'm going to... don't mean to get off topic here. I'm thinking I'm going to start feeling that way about Walking Dead, the new spin-off show they announced. But okay, now back to Thor 2. And speaking about reviews, I mean, you and I were also having a conversation about review embargoes. I mean, embargoes for like movies and video games. I mean, some studios, even if the movie's going to be good, they wait to have the review come out until like the day before or the day of its release. I mean, Arkham Origins, they're not going to release the review until Friday at midnight.
Now, I personally don't mind review embargoes that much. But, well, here's the thing. I don't mind having review embargoes because I think you need some sort of check to say, hey, this guy clearly has not played the game because we have not released review copies yet, or these guys clearly have not played the entire game because we released the review copies 2 hours ago. I mean, you never know. And I can understand that. But the thing that we were talking about this earlier, the thing that always makes that, speaking about Arkham Origins as an example, I'm still going to get it, probably going to love it, but it still makes me nervous that they're doing it the day that it's coming out, that it's lifted. Yeah. That worries me.
Yeah, I think that worries everybody. And you said you read a review already?
I read a bit of a review. It was on Reddit, and then it got pulled.
Yeah,
so I don't know if they pulled it. And it got a 7 out of 10, and some people in the comments were saying it sounds like he just looked at the trailers and then reviewed it because there's nothing new in there.
Oh yeah.
Or is the game really just that? I mean, that's the thing I'm worried about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what gets me. I mean, when we see Thor 2 when it comes out, we won't know really what what the people who saw it were thinking when they reviewed it. And we'll eventually find out in 2 weeks or so. So, I want to let Henry.
Okay, I can definitely talk about this. I haven't pre-ordered a game in a very, very long time. The last game I pre-ordered, is a little story behind this, was Fable 2. I was very excited, like Fable 1. I got really hyped for it, obviously, Peter Molyneux, like, hyping it up.
Oh, yeah.
I got it on day launch. I should have waited. And it's that. And had I seen a review, like, in that thing beforehand, there might have been a change of mind there. But I think with that product specifically, it doesn't pertain. Regardless, I think that's the market that these game reviewers and these movie reviewers are putting to. These people who, day one people, the people who are going to buy it and figure it out for themselves, people who go to the midnight release show,
like GTA.
Exactly. And GTA is a 10 out of 10 game and everything, but like that's who they want to. I think that's their economics for this is. We need to make a profit, and day one profits are so important for a game. This like thing, and even if it's a bad game and there's already bad publicity for it, we're not going to make ends meet. So, like that's who I think they're targeting by these review embargoes. And as a consumer, not to get economics on you, but as a consumer, what you have to do there is you have to wait. You have to wait for the review to come out. You don't be the impulsive buyer. Anything in economics will say, if you're willing to buy something the first day it comes out, you're obviously your want and demand is so high that you're willing to pay like an exorbitant price, and that's why games a lot of times come out so expensive.
And there's also a trend, depending which studio you're looking at, Sony tends to release their Sony tends to release their exclusives like they allow reviews like maybe 2 weeks at the most. I remember seeing Last of Us review come out like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
Microsoft usually does it the week of or the day of.
Yeah.
And then third parties in between, but usually they're like the day of. So I think it's becoming more of a trend. And the same thing about movies, depending on what studio you're looking at, or if it's a really big blockbuster, you can expect either A, the review to come out like a month before, or B, the review to come out the week of or the day of. It's one of three options.
Right.
But now, speaking of reviews and, embargoes and stuff that... Okay, I'm lost here. But, okay, they stopped production of the Wii.
No.
So let's have a moment of silence here, and we'll speak of it. Okay, so yeah, the Wii revolutionized.
It was almost going to be called the Nintendo Revolution. Interestingly enough,
Which is
a much better name.
And plus the fact that without Wii, we probably wouldn't have PlayStation Move or Kinect. And all this other motion gaming.
You got the iToy. Come on.
But then again, if we didn't have the Wii, we wouldn't have Kinect.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have that PlayStation 3. Remember, they were like, if you move the controller, like stuff like...
PlayStation Move is a little fun.
Yeah, I like PlayStation, but I think it's way more responsive.
PlayStation Move was a failure, guys. I'm trying to tell you. Economically, Kinect made money, Move did not.
Well, economically, many games did not make money. It doesn't mean they're not good.
Yeah. But it's just I only wanted to mention this was because of how it revolutionized the gaming industry. For like the first 3 years, even when the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 were released, they were being outsold by the Wii, like 2-1.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't until like 2007, 2008, then sales started to drop, and Nintendo has become what it is today. But
I've never really been a Wii fan. I don't own one back in my home. My mom almost bought one time because of pressure by her coworkers. Like, oh my god, it's fun, Wii Sports, and she's like, oh, should I buy this? And I'm like, no. Anyway,
Yeah.
But regardless, I will give the Wii the benefit of the doubt in any situation for moving the market along and getting us closer to the final end goal of gaining. What everyone at this table will I guarantee will agree that this is what you want to see in gaming, which is virtual reality. Virtual reality.
Oculus Rifts.
I'll take it a step further, though. As JonTron once said, there's that deep part in the back of our minds where everyone as a society in the world desires a game where it feels like you're actually using a lightsaber. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's what it brought us closer to.
Exactly.
For me personally, that's what
it's bringing us closer to that, and it also brought in people that actually never really gamed before into gaming. I mean, people like my parents, like my mom, she wasn't into games. She's still not, but she'll play the Wii. And my sister loves the Wii, and we have one at our home. And I don't really use it, but my mom and my sister do. They play mainly Just Dance or Guitar Hero, but still.
Cute game.
Last thing I'll say about it real quick. I just have to say I really appreciate Nintendo for lots of reasons, but one of the reasons has to be just this. The biggest reason for me, when PlayStation and Sony and Microsoft are kind of hitting the hardcore market, Nintendo's always there to remind us, hey, sometimes games can just be plain old fun. Sometimes they don't have to have a serious story with undertones, and I like that part, but sometimes games can just be fun. You can do it with your family, you can have fun, and it's just a great time, and I think that's what the Wii showed us.
And it's... I even though I really didn't play the Wii, it's kind of depressing at this moment with how a generation just seemingly end. I mean, the Wii U isn't that great of an innovation as the Wii. I mean, the Wii U's fine, but it's not that great.
Wait, there's a difference between the two? Average consumer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it revolutionized.
Talk about revolutionize things. How about Batman and Superman?
They just started filming this weekend, and Adam had something really
bad news, guys. And they're hearing this for the first time, possibly the first time.
Yes,
Zach may have heard this.
I might not have.
Supposedly,
Martian Manhunter. Come on.
No. It's bad news. Supposedly, an extra claimed, one of the football players that was an extra claimed that Bruce Wayne was giving a pep talk to the football team. Now let's just let that sink in for a second. Bruce Wayne was giving a pep talk to a football team. Let's just think about that for a second, Henry.
Why do we stop making movies, Master Wayne? Because of this right here.
Because we do pep talks at football games.
See, now that could just be some guy blowing it out of his ass.
Or it could nothing. Maybe it's not even him being a coach or anything. Maybe it's just something relevant to plot we don't even really know until we see something. I mean, it might be something relevant to the plot.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't know. But just the fact that this could be true and it might not have to do
scares me.
It worries. But from what I've heard, they didn't see most of the people didn't see Ben Affleck on set. All they saw was all that was reported, even IGN, even ComingSoon.net, pretty much the press that were there. They're saying there was no Ben Affleck in sight. It was pretty much Zack Snyder and his
football teams,
and the football teams, the extras, and the cinematography, the director.
Superman was bad.
Don't start. Let's not start on this conversation because we're running out of time. But okay.
But Martian Manhunter, though, they should put.
That would be cool. I would like to see him.
Yes.
We're all waiting for that.
And they're also hinting Wonder Woman might play an appearance.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
They're playing that idea. But Martian Manhunter is the superhero movie we deserve, but not the one we need.
All right, let's. Adam, you've been playing some games.
I want to talk about Among Us. How is it?
It's fucking awesome.
Okay, now I want to.
Pardon the French, but it is. There's no other way to say it. I just have to say that, Telltale had the moments in Walking Dead game where you would shoot, you'd aim and hit the R1 button.
Mm-hmm.
It's small, but to me it makes the experience more interactive. Now, when you're like in a scrap, you don't just hit a button repeatedly. You now have to like aim the mouse or analog stick and then hit the button or hit it and then hit it repeatedly. I mean, I guess what I'm getting to here is they've made the storytelling much more interactive. It flows better. And personally, I never heard about the Fables comics until I sort of read about The Wolf Among Us and what it's about. And the story is just really incredibly creative and interesting. I mean, I don't know if I want to go in too deep into it because it'll take too long, but long story short, fairy tales hundreds of years ago where Buddha sort of had this mass exile out of this fairy tale world, and now they all live like in the South Bronx of New York, and you play the big bad wolf, except now he's human, and you're basically you're not only trying to redeem your name, you're trying to keep these fairy tales from killing each other or just committing crimes, and many of these fairy tales have gone to like prostitution or Ichabod Crane is the mayor of the town of that section. So I mean, it sounds very convoluted the way I'm explaining this, but all I'm going to say is, so far with just episode 1, 5 out of 5 stars, dots, whatever we'll give it, and I just think 5 out of 5 burritos. And I do
out of 10.
8 out of 10? Well, fine, Henry.
That's how I roll my paper reviews.
I'm a big bad wolf.
I just think that it's a really... I really applaud Telltale. They've done it again, and I think that... it also makes me more excited for Walking Dead Season 2 to see some of these mechanics work through that.
And honestly, I want to see them do more series also. I want to see... Every franchise I see now... I think to myself, I want to see that style game with Star Wars, with Star Trek, with Mad Men, with so much stuff.
Am I one of the very few people that actually enjoyed Jurassic Park, the game from Telltale?
I kind of liked it. I wasn't.
Critics absolutely hated that.
It wasn't their best.
It isn't,
but they were still trying to figure themselves out.
I also like how it was a semi-sequel to the original Jurassic Park.
I do have something for Henry though. I think a week or 2 weeks ago, you said that you'd love to see like a detective game like that.
Yeah.
That's what this game is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a detective, and you can even decide what lead you follow, and that affects the story. Henry.
Okay, I just thought of what I would want to see Telltale games do if I could pick one thing in the whole world for them to do a game of. We've already talked about it today. Doctor Who, man.
Oh,
so good for Doctor Who.
That would be amazing.
Because it's all about like making decisions and like moving things in time, and it's not about combat. It's all like timed events, and that's like perfect.
That would be amazing.
For me, I think for a Telltale game, I think if they really want, I would love to see them to do a Game of Thrones game.
That would be awesome.
That would be good too.
Yeah. Like scheming against people. And
you'd be like one of the you could choose if you're Tyrion, like you're a Lannister or Stark, or you would choose what family you're in.
I want to have an original character.
I mean, you would be an original character, but you would be
you'd interact with them.
You choose what family you want to be part of.
Yes.
I think Game of Thrones, and I love Game of Thrones idea, and I love Game of Thrones, but Doctor Who would be incredible. Oh, and that reminds me, in terms of timed things, the Wolf Among Us, one of the other cool things about it was they changed the dynamic. So now it's not just how you it's not just what decision you make, it's how long you take to make the decision. So if I'm wandering around looking at every little thing, no, they time you. But if I'm walking around looking at every little thing, something else is happening in the world that I'm missing, and it might affect the rest of the story.
Oh.
So you can look at more evidence for something, where you might have more evidence later, but there might be someone being murdered that you miss saving them because you were looking at evidence here.
It's so frustrating.
So it weighs on you more. Your decisions.
Well, coming back to time, this is all we have for today. So,
this is Henry Wagner. I hope you enjoyed.
This is Adam.
And this is Zachariah Zach Tapspo. And this is Geek Talk!